don't really need to frame the story here with the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. Everybody pretty much aware of what happened last night, the vote in the school board. Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people, bring us this conversation with Philip Martell. He is the superintendent of the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. Mr. Martell, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
It's good to have you with us here today as we talk about, what happened last night, where the school district goes from here. And first, let's get into last night. Of course, that was a quite emotional time, and not just from the Saltsburg end of the school district. We know that the Blairsville end of the school district, it's just a very, very difficult time right now, and you folks are trying to sort things out.
We are, and it was very emotional, and that is completely understood. But now that the decision has been made to move forward, what we need to do is try to bring people together, and really what's in the best interest of our students and our communities. And I think we have the ability to do that. You have a lot of great individuals that are willing to step up and help as we close one door and chapter in history, but we open another. And I think that's important to know, and that could be a very positive thing. As you go through this process and you involve stakeholders and you get buy-in. So we are looking forward to that now that the board has made a decision, and we're going to embark on that endeavor, which will really begin with the renaming of the school district. That will be an exciting time.
One of the questions that was sent to us today, and it was a question that Joel Sansone was asking earlier today as well, is what are the savings to the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District with the vote last night to close the Saltsburg School? And then, of course, how do those savings, how are they manifested in action by the school district to reshape it?
Sure, no problem at all. This really, but I want to do is really, if I can stress this a little bit more too. This was an educational plan because what the current model that was in place, there was really inequity in the school district, and it was seen in the class sizes. You had in the course offerings that were in balance, more course offerings on one side, less on another. The savings, as I call it, from right-sizing the district, but also then reinvesting, will be well over $10 million over the next 5 years. And that has been done with a lot of hard work and a lot of cooperation with our bargaining groups within the district, but also then repurposing that money back into our educational component of the school district. And I will be presenting that to the board on Tuesday night as far as, how we move forward and so forth. But there is savings, but it's putting that money back into the system, Todd, and investing our students, which is the important part. And the STEAM Academy will do that. It'll give great opportunities, not only for our students, but it will students throughout the county and the region. So we're looking forward to that.
The Save Our Saltsburg Schools group has also said that they will take this to federal court. I know that no court action has been filed just yet, so it's kind of difficult for you to respond to such a thing. But obviously, you and your solicitor within the school district are going to have a response at some point. And I'm sure you're preparing arguments in case that does become the case. Yes?
Yes, I mean, I leave the lawyers do their thing, so I'll leave, and as far as what we're going to do, we're going to move forward, because that really, those things are out of my control, but we felt that we followed the process with due diligence and fidelity, and, that will, then at the end of the day, that will come out no matter what court of law we're in.
So the completion of this school year will mark the end of the Saltsburg schools if the decision stands forth and Saltsburg becomes a closed school and their students go to Blairsville. Talk, if you would, about that transition over the summer and how much work needs to be done in order to make that happen.
Sure. And, as we transition the middle high school students, because the elementary center, I want to make sure everybody knows that, because I think that was a little bit confusing in this process too. The elementary center will remain in Saltsburg, which is a key component of this, of my plan as well. Transitioning of students and staff is very important, and a logistical operation that we have to do very well. So we're going to work very hard over the next few weeks, now that the board has made a decision to put an action plan in place, and be very transparent about that with our staff and the communities moving forward to explain how that will take place during these summer months. And I think it's also important to know we have to continue to build bridges with our two staffs as well, bring them together and maybe some professional development exercises as well, so they get to know each other because they will be working with people, obviously, they have not worked with in the past.
Would there be a need for physical configuration of the building into which all of the students will go?
There's some things that we're going to have to do, that we wanted to do internally in the building, but nothing major structurally that will have to be done. Because if you think, the building at one time, probably 20 years ago, had way more students and even what's combined in most 6 through 12 buildings today. So there really will be no major structural needs. We are, reinventing a lot of the spaces from a curriculum and academic perspective for our students. So we're excited about that because those were components that were missing on both ends of the district. So when you talk about, what we're doing to restructure and put things back into the educational component, that's just one part. But as next year we will be offering 23 new classes to our students that they didn't have opportunities to take before. So I really believe that the educational opportunities for the students that will be coming from Saltsburg, as well as the Blairsville students, will now be balanced and fair, and it will give them a great career path.
Philip Martell is our guest this morning. He is the superintendent of the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. Last night's hearing, or meeting, I should say, the vote, was strictly on the closing of the Saltsburg School, and there was no mention, of course, of the STEAM Academy. And that proposal, of course, remains a key component of your plan for Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. Talk about that, if you would. Tell us where that stands and what the school district intends to do moving forward from here in relation to that Saltsburg building.
Sure, that's great. And, I understand the importance of that building. And at the end of the day, over the next 2 years, while we incorporate the STEAM Academy and start those programs, those 9 new workforce development programs, 9 to 12 new programs, they'll have more students in that building at the end of the day than they do now. And I understood that because the businesses in town are a key component of this. They have concerns. This will only, in my mind, enhance that opportunity when you have more people, obviously in the community. I am going to ask the board on Tuesday night to authorize action with the Pennsylvania Department of Education moving forward with the STEAM Academy. There's a process that we have to go through, that's done. We have to do our due diligence and do that, and I will ask them Tuesday to approve that, and then that will kind of get us started with the STEAM Academy aspect.
Obviously, the emotion of last night showed how the Saltsburg residents feel about the possibility of their school closing. What are some of the things that you believe need to be done in order to promote some healing within that district? And what do you say to those folks in Saltsburg in terms of the way the district will look in the future?
I think one of the things throughout this whole process, Todd, I did listen. I listened to some of their concerns and things, because as we move forward, the greatest thing we can do to bring people together is to take a lot of those things into consideration. So we're going to be looking at transportation routes. We're going to be looking at some of those things that they had concerns about. But also the students have been together with different joint sports and things over the years. I feel that that's going to be an easier transition. And we really have to just be fair and equitable in this whole process. Because there was not, equity was an issue in this school district, and they can't deny that. That's my job now, to make sure we're doing things consistent and equitable throughout this district, and giving those same opportunities to every student, not just a select few. So I think that's something, as we put the educational component in place, people will be able to start to see. As the STEAM Academy starts to develop, they will be able to start to see. As we rename and rebrand the school district and try to heal, I think it's a very big part of this whole thing, because it came back and forth with the finger pointing. The finger pointing goes away then. One of the first things we're going to do is that, we're going to post a survey on our website to talk about to the parents and community members to start submitting names, what they think would be a good name for the school district. But we're going to then involve the kids after that. So we're initially putting on our website today, and moving forward, we're looking forward to getting those results and starting that.
One of the interesting things about when a school district closes one end of the district, we think back to one of the most recent examples, the Ligonier Valley School District closing Laurel Valley and integrating the students into their schools, and the team sports were a key aspect of that. Now, within Blairsville-Saltsburg, as you said, a lot of the sports teams already are integrated. The one important one that has not is, the basketball teams and the football teams. How important is it that students from both ends of the district be a part of those teams?
It's incredibly important, because we have to involve individuals that are willing to help us kind of create these programs. To bring them together. but they need to be fair and balanced. And, we're going to start committee meetings or athletic and activities committee and involve stakeholders to make sure that process is done with fidelity. And that's another, that's something that I hope the people from Saltsburg understand. These processes will be fair, and they will have equity, and they will be consistent, because that's our job. And they're an important part. And it'll be an exciting time as the kids are involved in helping us rebrand, picking a mascot, picking a logo, talking about a new alma mater song, fight song. I think that's where you talk about building those bridges, and maybe they say, okay, this is going to be a good opportunity. This is not going to be, let's show us this. And that's what we plan on doing.
Just a moment or so left with Philip Martell. He's the superintendent of the Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. So in these final moments of our conversation here this morning, what are the one or two things you want people to know about the closing of the Saltsburg School and the reconfiguration of the school district itself?
I really want people to understand that this process that we're about to undertake and what we're going to do to transform the school district educationally will benefit their son or daughter in a better way than the model that was in place. The model that was in place was not sustainable. Right now, the district is fortunate enough to control its future. But the model that would have been in place a few years down the road, that may not have been the case. So right now, it's the greatest asset we have, that we have control of what we're doing. But I want to make sure that parents understand, and they'll see this as the opportunities, as the educational and activities opportunities that their son or daughter will have are going to be much better than what they were receiving in the prior model.
He's Philip Martell, Superintendent, Blairsville-Saltsburg School District. Interestingly enough, your regular appearance here on Indiana in the Morning will be scheduled on the 6th, so you'll have a lot more of reaction, and of course, so the planning process will have moved forward by that time. So we look forward to that conversation. Thanks for being with us today.
I appreciate it, Todd. Anytime.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.
It is the voice of Indiana. It is the voice of Indiana.